Okay. Good morning. My name is Deborah Liebman. I'm the Director of Voter Services of the League of Women Voters of Albany County, and I'll be moderating this morning's candidate forum. The League of Women Voters is more than 100 years old. It was formed as an outgrowth of the women's suffrage movement, and based on the idea that once women had gained the right to vote, they needed to be able to be educated and informed voters. We promote voter rights, we register voters, and through events like this candidate forum and our website, vote411.org, we educate voters about who and what is on their ballots. We're an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization, which means that we never support or oppose any candidates or political parties. Our reputation is founded on this nonpartisan position, and we adhere strictly to that. And under that policy, I am moderating this forum this morning because I do not live in the Albany City School District. And I have no vested interest in the outcome of this race. Please consider supporting the League of Women Voters by becoming a member or making a contribution to help us with our work. And note that the League is not just for women. Men are members, and we have men serving on our board of directors. In fact, this morning we will hear from the 3 candidates for the Albany City School District School Board. They're running for 2 positions, each with a 4-year term. One of the candidates, Sridhar Chittoor, is an incumbent running for re-election. The other 2 candidates are Edith Leet and Austin Wolfgang. Each candidate will start with an opening statement for 2 minutes. Then I'll proceed to ask the candidates questions based on questions submitted by the public. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond, and the order for responding will rotate. We've randomly chosen who's going to go first and who will go second and third. At around 11:20, the candidates will have an opportunity to make a closing statement of 2 minutes each. As you can see, a League volunteer, Mary Kate Owens, is operating as timer and will let the candidate know when 1 minute is left, 30 seconds is left, and when to stop. We'll start now. Candidate Edith will now give the first opening statement.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Albany School District for making this forum possible. My name is Edith Leet, and I am a wife, aunt, sister, cousin, friend, and mother. Both my children attended Albany schools and agree that they were well prepared for college and for adult life. Brian is an architect in Burlington, Vermont. Becca is a travel agent at AAA here in Albany. I am also a certified teacher, a retiree from the New York State Education Department, a small business owner, a former member of the Albany School Board, an officer in my church, and a board member on a statewide camp and conference ministry serving children from 5 to 18 years old. I am running for the school board because I want to make Albany schools second to none and worthy of representing education in the capital city of New York State. To accomplish that, I want to greatly increase the number of volunteers working with our children in their schools. Each volunteer is one more caring adult who can show our children that education is important and that each child's success is equally important. As a board member, I want to improve early learning by building on the successes of the bilingual program and the magnet schools and expanding them to other schools. And I want to concentrate volunteers in the lower grades to ensure that every child who graduates from 3rd grade is reading at grade level. Next fall, we will remove students' cell phones and other disruptive electronic devices during the school day. At the same time, I want to improve our use of technology in whatever ways will make teaching and learning more exciting, more engaging, and more successful. I am confident that I have the time and energy to make these ideas reality. I respectfully seek your support. Thank you.
Okay, Sridhar, you can go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for making this forum possible. My name is Sridhar Chittoor. I'm finishing my 2nd term on the school board as we speak, and I'm honored here to have the opportunity to stand before you as a potential candidate for the upcoming school year. The last 2 terms that I've been on the board have been a very valuable learning experience for me. We have navigated multiple challenges, including hiring of a couple of superintendents, rebuilding the Albany High, uh, emergency establishment of the Edmund O'Neill Middle School, which just because the Brighter Choice Middle School closed abruptly, we had to deal with the influx of about 250 students. And of course, not to forget the COVID pandemic, which taught us all so many lessons, including how to use technology. Um, we improved on our graduation rate through those years. We have created new opportunities in CTE programs and other programming, including the dual language school and the international academy, all while maintaining low school taxes. So I believe that a strong, inclusive, and innovative educational system is the foundation of a thriving community. And with the passion for student success, a commitment to transparency, and a dedication to listening to all voices, I aim to work collaboratively with educators, parents, and students to ensure that our schools provide the best possible environment for learning and growth. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to sharing my ideas and hearing the perspectives of our other candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Austin?
Good morning, everyone. Start off by saying thank you to our hosts, the League of Women Voters, and of course our moderator, Deb Lieberman, for being here this morning. I've been watching these league debates for many years. They provide a great service doing these nonpartisan debates. And especially, I know they were getting attacked last year, so I do just want to shout them out and say that we should all be supporting them because this is really important. So good morning. My name is Austin Wolfgang. I am running for the school board. I was born and raised here in the city of Albany, along with my 2 younger brothers who are both Albany grads like me. After I graduated from Albany High in 2019, I went to SUNY University at Buffalo and got my bachelor's degree. And then I moved home and have worked for both of our local governments and then now work as the chief of staff to one of the members of the state legislature. I'm running for the board to bring a fresh, young perspective to the board, especially one of somebody who's been in our schools recently. I have so many good memories of my time all throughout Albany, and I want to make sure that every single kid that comes behind me is getting the best education possible. We have many, many good things. We also have some things we need to work on. So I want to be part of that. One big thing for me is, of course, our CTE programs. I think they provide amazing opportunities to our students, and I want to look to be supporting them and also expanding them. I had a great conversation with Chief Cox this last week about looking into a Albany High to Albany Police Department pathway. So I think there's a lot of great opportunities there. And then looking at working with our teachers to do more nonviolent conflict resolution skills with our students at a young age so that we're teaching them those skills. And finally, just thinking about how we can make sure that we're including students and teachers in every decision we're making because they're the ones on the ground that have to live with those decisions. So thank you all, and I hope you go out and vote on Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Okay, so our first question, Sridhar will answer the first question first. The first question is, name 2 of the strengths of the Albany City School District and explain why you feel those are its strengths.
Well, we have multiple strengths, and so picking 2 is hard, but I will say that diversity is one of our biggest strengths as well as our challenge. And diversity, when I say diversity, I mean diversity in both the racial composite, the demographics of our students, as well as the programming in our district. So I'll speak of it from both those perspectives. In terms of the having the demographics of the city district inclusive of Black and brown students, ELL students, the SPED programs that are offered to our students. They just make our district so much more unique in so many different ways compared to any other urban school district, let alone suburban school districts. And what I can tell from my own experience that my son graduated a couple of years ago. He's a sophomore at Stony Brook. When they go to college, they are used to the world's challenges, right? These kids that are stepping out of Albany High are prepared for what the world has to offer them. Unlike a lot of the students from other districts that I have seen, just from personal experience. In terms of programming, I mean, our programming, we offer more AP programs than any urban or suburban school in the area. The CTE programs, that's unique. We don't need, we work with BOCES, but we offer those programmings in-house. So that allows the kids who are not going on the CTE pathway to still explore some other options. So it provides more opportunities for our kids. Just because my son availed of all the AP programs that were available in our school, that shaved off a complete year of his school. He's going to graduate in his junior year of college, right? And those are the things that are unique to our district, which you don't find in a lot of the other districts. Um, I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Austin, you go next. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Okay. Name two of the strengths of the Albany City School District and explain why you feel those are its strengths.
Gotcha. Thank you for the question. I'm gonna say that our two biggest strengths are our amazing teachers, and our like expansive programming that we have. Um, sorry. For our teachers, I mean, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. We have some amazing teachers throughout our Albany schools, elementary, middle, and high school, who show up to work every day, and just do their best for our students. And then many of whom who go the extra mile and take on extracurricular activities for their students, maybe coach a sports team, lead a club, even organize a field trip so that their students have that extra experience. And they're doing it all in a district that is under-resourced and has additional challenges to some of our neighboring districts that they could be working for. So I'm going to say our teachers is one of our biggest strengths and assets as a district. And the other one is our programming. Like Sridhar mentioned, we have some of the best offerings for CTE programs and AP programs in the area. I believe we're up to 17 pathways for CTE programs. So that's 17 different career offerings that our students can explore while they're still in high school. I want to get that to more, but that's already an amazing thing. And it happens right in Albany. So our kids don't even have to go up to a BOCES campus like most. We have the most APs of any school in the area, giving our students the most opportunities to earn college credits based on the courses that were interested for them. I didn't quite hit a full year off my college tuition because there were some subjects I excelled in and some that I did less good in, and I was able to pick and choose the APs that worked best for me, because we have so many of those offerings. So those are our two biggest assets, our teachers and our amazing offerings and programs.
Okay, thank you. Edith?
I'm going to cheat and say the buildings is a strength that speaks for itself. We have bright, well-lit buildings and good equipment, et cetera, and it's going to be even better with the new high school being fully open. Diversity of all kinds. My son, when he was at Albany High, he said, I can sit in the cafeteria and watch the whole world go by. And he was so prepared for the diversity of his college. He went to the University of Buffalo, and he sat with a friend during their orientation, where the people were talking about how students will be facing diverse students, diverse opportunities, etc. And he and his friend were laughing because they didn't need that. That was all, they had that all through college, the diversity that some students were only encountering when they went to college. The other is the range of options. As other people have said, there are all levels of options available, both curricular and extracurricular. My daughter, when she was in high school, said you know, you can choose the people you want to be with because there are so many possibilities for you. She was in a knitting group and oh, I don't remember what it's called, but they made tapes and so forth to show. And when I was on the board, I had okay. Sorry.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you, Edith. All right, okay, the next question, Austin, you'll go first. Same. Name one or two areas that are most in need of improvement in the Albany City School District and describe how you would address that need.
Yeah, thank you for the question. You know, like I said earlier, I think we have an amazing district, but we also have some challenges that we have to work on, like everyone. I would say one of our big challenges that is more of a structural issue than something the district can truly address is that we don't have our students throughout the day. We have to receive them where they are and figure out how to engage them in the learning environment and support them for what they need. I talk about early violence education and multi-step intervention, right? But there's only so much the schools can do. So I think that's one big area that we struggle with is how we can support our students when they aren't in our schools. And I will give credit to the school board during COVID for making sure that those school lunch backpacks were going out. I think that was a great idea. And I would say the other issue we have, honestly, it's a perception issue. I think that so often people talk about Albany schools as in a negative way, as bad schools. And that's not only not true, it's harmful for our students. I was one of those Albany students hearing about, the state possibly taking over our schools if we didn't do well enough on state exams. That's not a okay pressure to put on our students. So I know we have those challenges to work through, but we also need to make sure that we are supporting our students and making sure that they know they're in a place where they can get a good education and they're not bad students or bad learners because somebody doesn't like something about the Albany school district. So yeah, I'm going to say those are our two biggest challenges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sridhar, you're next.
With 63% of our property being tax exempt, that is one of our biggest challenges because it takes money to educate students, right? And so it is difficult when we have so much of our land that does not pay taxes because it's either a university or a hospital or some other, and being the state's capital, everybody's headquarters of a nonprofit organization is in Albany. So we have been advocating with the state government, and we've flipped the rate in which now the state government actually pays 52% of the aid versus most of it coming from the property, from the residents of Albany. So there is a solution to it, and we've been working on it. The Also, the other unique things about Albany is we have 20% ELL population in our schools. We have a high SPED rate. We have about 15 to 16% of our students are special education. We have multiple languages being spoken, and it's an urban school district. So these challenges make it a very unique situation. But I think the largest challenge that we have, as Austin said, is perception. And so to believe that I believe that our greatest challenge is cultivating a truly inclusive and equitable district culture. Until we create a genuinely welcoming and supportive environment for everyone, students, staff included, some of these issues with student behavior and educational accountability will exist. And I think that is something that we can fix. We can change the perspective, we can change the narrative. It doesn't matter what other people talk about us. We will make them think, and as we have been doing, by putting out all these positive things of our district, our students are now recognized as achieving in arts and sports, you name it. So I think there are problems, but there are also solutions that we can work towards.
Okay. I apologize. Edith should have
Yeah.
gone for you. So, but now Edith, you'll go and I'll get back on
Okay.
track. I'm sorry.
Okay. The first thing we need to improve is our number of students who are graduating. If we're going to be second to none, we have to do better than the suburban districts who get 95 or more percent of their students to graduate. I think we can do that, and I would do it with volunteers. It's a very low cost strategy. It puts caring adults face to face with children, often on a one-on-one basis, so that child has a sense of an adult outside their family who cares about them, who is interested in their success, who wants to work with them to achieve that success. And from personal experience, I know how much of an influence a volunteer acting as a mentor or a tutor can have on a child. The other thing I think is relationships. We we still encounter bullying and kids who are together in the classroom but are separate when they get out of class. I think we need to do more with peer counseling, with the volunteers encouraging students to use to be open to other children as we want adults to be open to each other, to be welcoming, to be affirming of students. And that's much more harder to quantify, but I think we'll see it as as okay as we make improvements.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Well, Edith, let's see. You get to go again because
Okay.
I screwed up on the thing. So what skills would you bring to the Board of Education that are new or different?
Well, I don't know if I have skills that are new or different. I think I have a depth of experience with the Albany School District and with working with children that goes back decades. I have seen things that have been tried and not worked. I have seen things that are working, such as our um, the magnet schools and the bilingual programs, and I would want to make those available in more schools, take the lessons that we are learning from those schools where children succeed, and um, and put them in other schools where other children can have the benefits of that. Um, I have contacts in the community in many ways. I started a volunteer program when I was last on the board that worked through the churches. And I think that churches are a great source of volunteers. And then when the kids are back in the community, the churches can be supporting them in their neighborhoods as well. That's something that I've already done. I would like to set it up again. It was very successful. It actually led to eventually the Wizard's Wardrobe, which is now a permanent uh, place with its own building, and it tutors students after school, and that started with the Congregational Partnerships program that I began the last time I was on the board. It's again a very low cost approach with a lot of benefits. Thank you.
Okay, Sridhar, your turn.
What would I bring new or different? Well, I can't say I can bring something new and different because I'll just be older, a little bit more wiser, learning from my mistakes over the past two terms, and hopefully not make new ones and not repeat the old ones. So there's not much that you can do differently compared to what, in my opinion, compared to what has been done or tried in the past. But we can do things more effectively by advocating more, by collaborating with more with the community. I mean, things like the pastors on patrol. That is working with the churches. Things like working with NCBI, bringing in the different communities into the high school, having those conversations. Those are things that are already being done. To, so I don't think that it would be a brand new thing for me to do, as in doing things maybe slightly a little bit more efficiently and having that transparency, that communication, a two-way communication between the district and the community in a more effective manner. I mean, when I first ran, I thought transparency and communication were the two things that I was going to work on. And as you can see, our school board meetings are virtually. You can watch them virtually. You can come to the meetings. You can watch the recordings. There are many different ways in which you can communicate with the district. So we are making progress, and I'm willing to listen to our residents and see what else can be done. So stop there.
Okay, thank you. Austin?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for the question. I think that the biggest thing that I can bring to the school board with me is the perspective of a young person who was recently in our Albany schools. I graduated from Albany in 2019. So I also grew up in the technology and social media era, which is going to be something really important as the district navigates the state's new you need to have a cell phone ban, bell to bell law, that we'll have to come up with a policy to comply with. Um, I think a lot of things have changed because of technology and social media. And again, no disrespect to our current school board, but none of them experienced that growing up. That's not something they had or had to deal with. And so I want to bring that perspective to the board. Additionally, like I work on policy stuff at the state, and I do constituent services as well. So I'm more than experienced in communicating with our community and developing a policy based on those community voices. But at the same time, I also saw recently that our school district created a cell phone task force of students, teachers, parents, administrators who are working to create a whole body of recommendations that the board can evaluate, and that I can lend my voice to while still making sure that we're uh, highlighting and focusing on those student perspectives. The only other thing I want to teach on is that I have, or touch on, is that I have good relationships with many of our local government and community organization leadership, which is going to be really important in helping the schools get access to everything they can. I remember in the past there were issues with the city and the school fighting, so we lost access to the pool at one point, or the fields, and I would never let that happen. Our students
Right.
are too important.
Thank you.
So thank you.
All right, Sridhar, the next question is going to go to you. How do you think the Albany City School Board should implement the cell phone ban from bell to bell, the cell phone ban? What are your concerns and hopes for this?
So believe it or not, I mean, even before this ban became a state law, some of the district schools were actually implementing that. Even when my children were at Hackett Middle School, you had to put your phone in the locker. It was there long before anybody made it a mandatory thing. So I think that yes, will there be challenges now that okay, Austin, you're perfectly right. We didn't grow up we didn't go to school with cell phones in our hands. So for kids to adapt to this is going to be challenging. However, other districts in the neighborhood have also done that. Troy has done it. Bethlehem's done it. Um, Cohoes has done it. So it certainly can be done. There will be a phase where people have to get used and adjusted to the system of not having this thing that they've been so addicted to. Um, And while that addiction has, while you're going through the withdrawal symptoms, we need to make sure that we provide them the right supports, right? So parents and community members have this biggest question: how do I reach my kid to tell them that I'm going to pick them up at 3 o'clock for the doctor's appointment? Well, those kind of things can go through the district phone. There is going to be a phone available to the students, and they can use that phone to call their parents. Um, and believe it or not, I mean, gone are the days when everybody remembered everybody's number. So that will be a challenge too, trying to figure out what is my wife's number, what is my mom's number. I can't remember. My dad used to be able to recite the entire, phone directory of all my friends and all his relatives by heart, and we become so addicted. And so those are some of the things that I think will be challenging. And while those challenges exist, the first 3 or 4 months, as we slowly ease them into it, we have to provide them the right social emotional supports too, so that they don't deal with it in a bad way.
Okay, thank you. Austin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Just touched on it a little, but as I mentioned, the district actually formed a cell phone task force policy, I believe over a year ago now, that has been working hard on this exact issue before the state even decided to address it. And that's made up of students, parents, teachers, administrators. I believe there might even be a security staff or two on the task force. Again, I'm not up. Okay. So that's really important that, the school board, I feel like, takes the time to receive the recommendations from that task force who's been working and do a little back and forth with them to turn these into policies that are going to work best for our students. I'm excited about the cell phone ban, honestly, as someone who grew up with, cell phones in our schools, got it right here. It's off to the side. It's a distraction, and it's really hard to put down, especially for our students who are not adults yet and don't have the fully developed brain chemistry and everything. There are some things we obviously need to be able to figure out. How are we handling emergency communication with families? If we're not going to let students have cell phones, we need to make sure that if there's an emergency at the school, parents are getting some kind of notification within the first few minutes so that, they're not hearing about it from the news and stuff. They're hearing it from the school like they would have been from their students. How are we making sure that students and parents are able to communicate throughout the day about things like pickup practices, after school activities, or maybe like a different pickup person coming for them, whether that's through some email portal or if the district office is taking messages and conveying them. I also know teachers use cell phones a lot right now for coaches to send messages to their athletes, teachers to send reminders about homework and tests that are upcoming. And how we are keeping our teachers and students connected in that way without having the cell phones on us at all times. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Edith?
I think having the stakeholders working on this will be a big benefit, because students will be able to encourage each other that this is what's going to happen and how it's going to work. I think, as has been said, once the routine gets established, it will just be accepted as part of going to school. I think it's a good thing that they will not have their phones with them. And I think the major thing is that we need to make sure that the classes are so engaging that the students won't want to be interrupted by cell phones or anything else. I volunteer at a camp for children, sleepaway camp, and no technology is required, is allowed, excuse me. No technology is allowed. And I have had kids come in and they can't imagine that they won't be able to talk to their families for a week. And for the first couple days, it's hard, but about by the third day, they are so involved in being in nature, in doing the exciting things that happen at a sleepaway camp, that by the end of the week, they don't want to leave. And that's what I want to see our schools become. The classes be so engaging, the opportunities be so exciting that they don't need cell phones and won't feel that they are suffering because they don't have them.
Okay, thank you. Austin, you're going to answer the next question first. Do you have any thoughts on policies for the use of artificial intelligence by students, teachers, and administrators?
That's a great question. I know AI is a very big topic right now. It's new, and there's a lot of changing things. It seems like every day. There's also a lot of concerns with how our students are using it. You know, cheating on assignments, or just whether they're even getting the skills that they need to be successful if they are relying on AI to write papers for them or issues like that. I think that we need to be proactive and open to the idea of how we are going to use AI in our schools. We could say we're going to ban AI, and that's just how we're going to do it, but that's not going to equip our students to be better when they enter the adult world. AI is here. It's going to continue most likely being a bigger and bigger part of our life and how we work and produce products and provide services. So we need to be introducing our students to that so that when they get out into the real world, they're familiar with it, they're not scared of it, and they are just as equipped as their, suburban and private school counterparts who 100% will be introduced to AI while they are in school. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Edith?
I think AI is the future, and it's something that we all need to learn about. We all need to become comfortable with. We need to see how it can be used for good and how it could be used for not for ill, and find out, learn what the safeguards are that we can be sure that the AI we are using with our students and that they are learning is productive for them. I think it'll be an ongoing process, and it's something that none of us really have experience with, but we can be open to it. We can open our students to it, and probably we will find that our students can go farther in their learning by using AI than they can at this point.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sridhar?
AI is here to stay, has been here to stay. I mean, you're using Siri and Google Assistant and has been, we've been using AI even before we knew we were using AI. They were slowly introduced in many different technologies, and now they're here to stay. And this is the future. My fellow members are true in saying that it is a future. This is the way of the future. SUNY Albany has an AI institute that was established a couple of years ago. That's a new program. So if we want our kids to succeed in using AI effectively. The challenge with anything is there are two sides to the coin. So there are harmful things that come out of AI in the fact that it can stifle creativity, right? Using your brain, the human mind, and trying to understand and create things. However, if AI is used appropriately as a something in collaboration with your creativity, it can enhance your creative effects. So I think that we need to teach our students how to use AI appropriately and for the right reasons and not for the wrong reason. There are tools that are available to catch plagiarism and cheating and all of those things. And when students do that, it shouldn't be a punitive thing. It should rather be explained to them and shown to them that, hey, this is why you should be doing this. That you could have done this without using AI. And trying to allow them to use AI more effectively.
Okay, thank you. All right, Edith, you're going to go first to respond to this question. Should the district provide comprehensive sexuality education to our students, and if so, how?
I'm not sure how you define comprehensive, say it again, comprehensive sexuality
Education.
education. Okay. I'm not sure what that entails. I assume that means uh, teaching children about their bodies, about ways they can use their bodies, about birth control, reproduction, and so forth. I think that it's something that should begin as soon as children go into school and continue as health, as part of their health education, that they will know as much as possible about how to keep themselves healthy and what choices they might encounter and what are the responsible ways to use their sexuality. Like anything else, if you don't know about something, you can act irresponsibly from lack of knowledge, or you can hurt your own health because you don't know. I think we need to work with every student at their own level to know as much about their own body and their responsibilities to themselves and others as we can, always at a level that is appropriate for their age and experience.
Thank you. Okay, Sridhar?
Um, I agree with Edith. Comprehensive sex education, if you're looking at just from the physical point of view, well, kids and everybody needs to know how their bodies are and what are the pros and cons of making certain choices in life. And we need to support and educate our students with those choices and showing them what happens, what happens with early pregnancy. How does that affect your career potential and things like that? We have a very diverse population. We have to look at our LGBTQ plus students and address them as well. Yes, we can say that the old biology used to say there's an XX and an XY chromosome. Guess what? There's more than that in nature, and it would be great if our students knew about all of these options ahead of before they go out in the real world, because it's going to come to them in the real world regardless whether you like it or not. And if we can prepare them to deal with real world in house, in school, in a proper way in which we can give them the right supports that they need, I think they'll be much more prepared for stepping out of high school and becoming good citizens.
Okay, thank you. Austin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Let me first say, I think we have some amazing health teachers who do a great job providing comprehensive sexual education to our students right now, and doing it in a way that you can have these serious conversations on important topics with middle schoolers and high schoolers who are going to laugh at every dirty joke that they can think of when you say something, especially when you're talking about their bodies, puberty, and sex. Um, so, just making sure that we are supporting teachers, that they have the resources and tools they need to equip students to be safe and responsible adults. The other thing I'll touch on is that, as a gay man, I feel very strongly that our sexual education needs to be inclusive of everybody. Um, we can't only be equipping our straight students with safe sex practices and that knowledge. We need to be making sure that everybody understands that because it's an important part of being an adult. And there are some differences for being a member of the LGBTQ community versus being somebody who is straight, and how we handle sexual education for them. So, I think our teachers are already doing a great job. but I would like to take an extra look and make sure that we are being comprehensive and inclusive for all of our students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sridhar, you're going to get the next question. What steps should the district take to protect students from the school to prison pipeline?
Most of it starts with social emotional health, right? But the other half of it is the schools have a certain responsibility. Schools are the primary responsibility of the schools is to educate the kids. However, in more recent times, it's more than just education. It's providing the looking at the whole child, looking at the social emotional health of the child, but that cannot happen with just the schools. Things have to happen with the community. A lot of the issues that the students bring into the buildings arise somewhere else, out in the community, right? So partnering with the community to build those supportive systems where the students feel safe and secure and accepted both inside our buildings and outside our buildings, that is something that we need to do. And I think that the district has been making some strides in working with this, and um, we are making some progress, but there is more things that can be done. It comes with communication, being more transparent, having more collaborations, more of everything that we're already doing. Um, like I said, I'm not new. I don't bring something new and different because we are doing some of these things. We just have needs to be done much more efficiently.
Okay, thank you. Austin?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the issue areas I think I work the most on in my job is criminal justice and specifically corrections. So I'm extremely familiar with the school to prison pipeline, the statistics and a lot of the research behind it. One of the biggest things I think we need to remember with it is that nothing starts in high school for these students. The issues that are putting them on the school to prison pipeline did not start when they walked into Albany High. It probably started back in elementary school, if not younger. So how are we addressing the student issues when they're young to make sure that we are setting them up to be successful once they get to high school, and those real world consequences of having to deal with law enforcement in a significant way start happening. When a student is acting out as an elementary schooler or they're threatening their teacher, we need to be saying, hey, what's going on at home? What supports can we put in place to help you so that they're not swinging at a teacher when they're in Albany High because that behavior was never corrected. So that's one of the big things. The other thing I will say is that those I mentioned a little earlier with the CTE, but partnerships with Albany Police Department. We have an SRO. There are good and bad things to having an SRO, but I think it's really important that we are introducing our students to our police department and the services and resources that they can provide to our students, so that they feel comfortable interacting with police. And at the same time, reminding the SRO that these are students, and absent something extreme, we should avoid putting them in handcuffs and putting them through the juvenile justice system, and instead let our school system do its best to assist our students, like they're trained to do. So, thank you.
Okay. Edith?
There are several reasons why students wind up in prison. And as the others have said, it starts way before students come to school. Poverty is one reason, and the school has been meeting needs with things like the backpacks for food. I know that Albany High has gowns for prom that kids can use. And those kinds of things help students to see that the school is on their side, and help them to see that there are other ways to get what they need without turning to crime. And I also believe that students who know how to create are much less likely to destroy. So I want to start with our pre-K and kindergarten and go all the way through with keeping kids successful, teaching creativity, teaching respect and responsibility at their level all the way through, so that they feel that they are able to succeed, that school is a safe and supporting place to be, and they will want to be in school and want to take that path to create creativity, not destruction. And that can go another thing is students who are bored, who are so talented that they can't stand being in a regular classroom. We need to find them too. We need to challenge them. We need to keep them on the path to success and not the path to prison.
Okay, thank you. Austin, you're going to go next. Okay. What do you think the school district's policies should be when interacting with ICE?
That's a great question. I know there's a lot of fear with the current state of the federal government, especially with Albany's quite large immigrant and newcomer community. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the stuff is controlled by federal law and state law. And the district doesn't have control over the police force, so even like city policy. But the one thing I do, so there, I don't think the school board really can do a whole ton about choosing whether or not to let ICE into our schools. Thankfully, we live in New York, so I think that our state's going to protect our schools and make sure that our students are focused on learning. They don't have to be, scared of being kidnapped out of our school and not getting to see their parents again. So instead, I want to say how much I support our immigrant communities who are just trying to do their best coming into a new country. I think we do some amazing work already with the Albany International Academy and helping our families get integrated and figure out the American education system and all the different things that we have going on that they have to now figure out that are going to be different than their home country. I do want to look at how we can be more effective. I just saw a great presentation from our Albany International Academy with their community partners and how we can look to expand those to make sure that our immigrant students' families are also getting the support and the English language skills that they need to support our students in their learning.
Okay. Edith?
I am very concerned about the effects on refugees, immigrants, because of ICE policies. I understand that Albany is a sanctuary city. I also know that there are certain rights that people have if they are approached by ICE agents. I think the school can help both students and parents to know those rights, to know the difference between a court warrant and an administrative warrant, to know that they can contact the lawyer, to have resources available to contact, to keep in touch with the families, to make sure that they know their rights, and if they are approached, that the school will do what it can to support them. I think again, volunteers can be very important here because they can connect with individual students and keep an eye on them and encourage them on a one-to-one basis that the school isn't always able to do. And it's scary, and I know that some parents are not sending their kids to school because they're afraid of having them on the streets. So we need to provide the supports that will let them know that their children are safe in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Sridhar?
So times are different these days, and I kudos to Superintendent Hawkreiter for putting out, being the first person, the first school district for representing the school district to put out that notice which specifically said we stand by our students and our international community, regardless of what might come from the outside. ICE can come to our doorstep, but they cannot enter our buildings unless they have a warrant from a federal judge by law. We have trained our support staff who are at these gates with what the rules and regulations are. And if ICE does show up, they notify an administrator who has been trained, and the wheels of the system start moving. Right. Having said that, there is a certain amount of social emotional health that is affected when a student sitting in a classroom not knowing if their parents will be there at home or are they going to be picked up, right? So we have to address that aspect as well. So that is one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about the cell phone ban. How would we, is there a way to make sure the information is transferred? There are groups of communities that we are partnering with who are outside our buildings, who are keeping in touch with the families and making sure that if there's an ICE presence, people are notified. When the whole thing about ICE first started, there were a couple of days when the immigrant families were not sending their children to the schools because they were afraid. Our teachers went into those houses and told the students their students are better protected inside the school buildings than outside. And we have not had a problem in drop off enrollment or attendance in from those communities since. So that's where I think the school district's policies are nicer.
Okay, thank you. All right, Edith, you're going to go next. You're going to be the first one to answer the next question. How should the district respond to directives from the federal government with regard to such issues as appropriate curriculum or DEI initiatives?
I would respond that schools are the ones to determine what the curriculum is, how it's taught. We are not here to follow federal mandates. We are here to educate our students to the best of our ability, to make sure that our students have the supports that they need, what's appropriate for the city of Albany and the students who live here, not what someone else at any level of government thinks we should do. We obviously need to follow laws that are upheld as being appropriate, such as the ban on cell phones. But we don't need to follow directives that we feel are going to harm our children.
Okay. All right, Sridhar?
So we were the first district, again, in the capital region that put out a policy called the equity policy, where we said we were going to stand by all our students. We believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. The policy committee has been reviewing all of its policies through a committee that includes two members from the equity team from the district. So every policy is looked at the diversity. We are not going to abandon these practices. DEI is important. We have a very diverse group of students. And so we have to stand by our students, our community. We don't necessarily have to follow every mandate that comes from the federal level. Luckily, our dependence on the federal budget and the federal resources is 0.9% of our budget. So if it was 50%, it would be really challenging, right? So we don't depend that much on it. So we can bring our communities together, and we're lucky that we are in New York. We are lucky that we are in Albany. We are a sanctuary city. our community will stand with us if as we keep DEI in place in our schools and make all our students feel that they're in an inclusive, supportive environment.
Okay, Austin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Again, with I think all the craziness at the federal level, there's a lot of uncertainty with what they're going to do and what new policies they're going to try to push or slash. Our school board president mentioned, federal funding is not actually a huge part of our district budget. It's largely state taxes followed by property or state aid followed by property taxes. We really only get the Title I school allocation, which is not a huge allocation for us. So, if we need to stand up to the United States government to protect our students, we're going to stand up to the United States government to protect our students. Luckily, we live in a state like New York, where I think our state is going to continue to stand behind us and protect, not only DEI focus and education, but also the amazing coursework programs that we've already talked about. AP African American History, that's an AP level course. That's a national course that you can get college credit for. So I think we're going to continue to protect those programs. I would like to quickly shout out the Board of Education up in Saratoga Springs. They passed a policy reaffirming their commitment to DEI recently and have since been targeted by the Congresswoman up there for doing so. And I believe she's now has the Federal Department of Education investigating them. So instead of spending taxpayer resources on educating our students, they now have to defend themselves from the United States government for just trying to do what's right by their student and continue local control. So
Right.
I'm going to
Thank you.
protect them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, Sridhar, you're going to be first in answering the next question. Do you believe that there might be circumstances for books to be banned or removed from public school libraries? And if yes, under what circumstances, using what type of criteria, and how would those decisions be made?
So the way our policies work with picking the board doesn't pick the textbooks. The board approves the curriculum and the books that are picked by a committee in the district that is made up of librarians and other community members um, for the district. Having said that, I think students should be exposed to different kinds of things so that they have a very informative perspective on what's out there. I do not think that the current policy on banning textbooks that are related to different issues, that whoever is in government decides that it doesn't approve with their outlook, should be banned from the school district. That is not doing anybody a favor. So I am not in support of banning books. Um, and I think the librarians who are in our district and in our community are best suited for making recommendations. Now, if there was some textbook that talked about something that was really harmful and dangerous, we probably, from a safety perspective, want to keep that out for libraries in terms of making firearms or bombs or what have you. But other than that, in terms of worldly issues, I don't think there should be book banning allowed.
All right, Austin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. How I would approach this as a school board member, honestly, is remembering that we hire trained, educated, licensed professionals to work in our schools. In order to be a librarian, you need to have a master's degree in library sciences, which not only covers the technical parts of being a librarian, like the Dewey Decimal System, it also covers the education parts of being a librarian. What is age-appropriate reading content for students? How do you help students, or kids in general, curate a reading list? How do you run a learn to read workshop at your school? So when we have these, you know, highly trained and educated professionals, I'm going to trust that, you know, they know what they're doing. You know, it's trust but verify. If a parent has a concern about a specific book or a topic that's being brought up, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with every parent in our district. I think it's important that they're engaged. But, you know, when we have these trained professionals, I want to give them the room to use their expertise to best serve our students. Otherwise, you know, we could fill them with minimum wage jobs. It'd be a lot cheaper, but our students wouldn't get the amazing things that they do in our libraries now, right? Like we have these professionals, we make them get master's degrees and go through all of these apprenticeships and stuff like that, because it's such an important position. So I'm going to trust but verify on the school board with respect to banning books. Thank you.
Okay, Edith?
I believe that banning books makes the banned books more desirable and takes away from the free sharing of ideas. It involves the imposition of control by someone else of what I can or cannot experience. Where children are involved, I think it's important to provide books at a number of reading levels and on a variety of topics, and then allow children to choose the books that interest them and that they can read at their current level of development. Teachers and librarians can guide children to such books and offer opportunities for children to recommend books to each other. With the vast number of books available, librarians and others responsible for purchasing books should use their expertise to provide a wide variety of books to help both children and adults learn, expand their minds, and better understand the world around them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Austin, you're going to get the next question. I think we are probably only going to have a time for maybe this question and one more, and then before we go to our closing statements. Not everyone has the same point of view or comes from the same space. How would you ensure that diverse viewpoints are expressed and addressed by the school board?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important question for a district like ours, which is extremely diverse. We have to make sure that we are including you know, diverse students. We're grabbing from all across the city, different racial backgrounds. You know, we're also bringing in different voices like teachers, recent graduates, parents, administrators, and how we are evaluating each of those things. I know I've mentioned it earlier, the district cell phone task force. I think that's a great example of making sure that we can have a large group of diverse voices, both, you know, in their role and in their identity, contributing to creating the best policy at the board level. Part of that is, you know, building up those community partnerships like we talked about. How are we including our community organizations who do a lot of good work on the ground with these students when they're not in school into the thought process for the students when they are in school? So, you know, I'm gonna keep focusing on talking to people, bringing as many people in as we can, and making sure our students feel heard through the board, through their student government, and, you know, any other way that we can engage them in their education.
Okay, Edith?
I've been a strong proponent of shared decision making, which may be happening in under other names, but basically it involves getting all the stakeholders together, working on a problem together, and coming to consensus about what to do next. As a board member, I would encourage that kind of interaction. I would do what I could to facilitate setting up such shared decision-making opportunities in each of the schools. And of course, at the board level, we always have a community time for community members to address the board. I would like to look at that and see if we are giving that enough time. If we are encouraging people to use that approach to make sure the board knows what they are thinking. Again, I think when everyone is involved in the decision, all the people who have a stake in what the decision is going to be and how it's going to affect them, that the decisions are better, and the school, everyone grows as they work on those kinds of decisions.
Okay. Sridhar?
I mean, for informed decision, you need the conversation to happen between the different stakeholders of any issue, right? I mean, if you were to think about in recent times when we did the great reconfiguration of schools to go to the 3 different middle schools, if you think about the process, there were lots of forums that were held within the buildings, from the teachers, the staff, from the parents, from the communities, all of that information came to multiple board meetings where the collated data was presented to the public. Every these decisions are not made in a void where just the board makes some random decision, right? You need to take in all viewpoints, consider them, look at the pros and the cons. It may not be the most popular idea, but you still need to vet it to make sure that what the step that you're eventually going to take is in the best interest of the students in the community. And I'm glad to say that the decision that we made with North Albany Middle School, opening of the North Albany Middle School, and the transition of the students actually worked out. Right, we did listen. So that the process exists. Public comment. That's a process that exists. And now that you can write to the board, you can come to public comment physically. You can send it by email. You can by voicemail in any language with translation. All of these opportunities that we have created in recent years allow for that conversation to happen. Is that conversation happening? Yes, to some extent. Could it be done better? Absolutely. And I think that more of the public engagement, building those relationships with our partner organizations that exist out in the community, that we can do that more community outreach. I think where the board can connect with person on the street and try to get those inputs before making these decisions. So we are making progress. We are in the step, but could things be done more efficiently? Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. This might be the last question, and Edith will go first. What contentious community issues threaten the district and its mission?
I think racism is a problem that faces the district. I do not see groups coming together outside of school the way they have the opportunity to come together in school. I would like to see more work done on having students interact with each other and talk about their feelings, their relationships. I would like to bring the churches together to address this problem more comprehensively. I think, again, talking about the value of each student from the time they are preschool and encouraging relationships between students can do a lot to mitigate things like racism, bullying, activities where one group is against another group. I have an idea, but I don't know that Albany is ready for it yet, and it's kind of complicated to explain. But I think that having children interact with each other and taught respect for each other, wherever they come from, whatever color they are, whatever their lifestyle is, If children grow up learning that respect and how important it is, that can help mitigate things like bullying and racism.
All right, thank you. Okay, Sridhar?
I mean, I agree with Edith in the fact that one of the biggest things that Albany faces is issues related to racism. Out in the community, we are a very diverse city with lots of different sub-communities, and not everybody gets along with everybody all the time. And that's true for any big city. However, having said that, the other thing that complicates this is the poverty that exists in Albany. So if this what the school district can do, well, it can provide the right education and the environment to support these different diverse students coming from diverse demographics. It can teach them how to coexist. It can work with neighboring partners in the neighborhood to build that coalition. But more importantly, we also have lots of opportunities to create jobs, right? So whether it's the support staff, whether we have construction going all the time, and I think the boards have been doing some of these things even in the past, where trying to put forward a mandate with the unions out to the when if you have a construction project, well, what is your MWE contribution to it, and trying to make sure that our students, our community gets those jobs, our students who are graduating get hired as interns, and trying to build this partnership, right? And I think that is one way in which we can change the dialogue where people say, "Oh, it's a big insurmountable issue. Racism is too big." No, by teaching people to coexist and creating a win-win situation for both parties, I think we can break down that barrier.
Okay, thank you. Austin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think obviously that our students deal with a lot of increasingly complex and intense issues, both compared to previous students, but also compared to some of our surrounding communities. Um, and I agree with the answers from both the people who went before me. However, one of the things I want to highlight as an issue specifically is the violence in our city and how that plays out into our school. I heard both of the other two mention different racial groups having issues with each other out in the community. That's actually something somebody said to me while I was out talking to hopefully voters. Is that there were two communities over in her area of the city that were feuding, and that was actually playing out into the school. And she told me about an incident that happened recently with one of the students because of that. I think what the district needs to do is try to create an environment where our students feel like they can drop those external issues and pressures as much as they can. I mean, obviously you can't leave everything at the door, but if you know that you're safe in school, you're not going to be on edge and ready to get into that altercation with another student or a teacher. So I think that's really the biggest thing for our district is creating an environment where our students who deal with so much, violence, mental health, affordability, poverty, racism, so many issues, and just how we can make them feel safe enough to come in and learn.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to our closing statements. Sridhar, you go first. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about some of these issues. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to everybody who woke up early in the morning on a Saturday morning and showed up at this forum. If you do elect me to be on the board for my third term, one of my top priorities would be to keep increasing our graduation rate, which has gone up from 53% up to 74% right now. The state is sitting at 84%, so there is a gap between us and the state. Someone talked about how the suburban districts are at 95%. I would love to have that, but they don't have the challenges that we have. But having that as an aspirational goal is absolutely something that we have in mind. I want to ensure that every student has the support and resources they need to succeed, to walk across that stage. When end of June, when I'm sitting on that podium and those first generation students are walking with a diploma, there's nothing more, in terms of it's a priceless moment for me, having come from a family where education was. My parents didn't go to high school, but they did make sure their kids were educated. I believe that by strengthening our academic programs, providing targeted support for at-risk students, fostering strong relationships with families and community, we can create an environment where all students are motivated and equipped to graduate. As a candidate for the school board, I'm committed to ensuring that our schools provide that safe, inclusive, and high-quality education for every student. I believe in transparent communication. Responsible stewardship of our resources, and fostering a collaborative environment with our teachers, parents, students. Everybody needs to feel valued and heard. It'd be great to have a student representative on the school board, and that's going to be a mandatory from coming fall. And so, having that fresh perspective and having new ideas come into to what the board can do would be great. I appreciate your support and look forward to the opportunity to serve as a dedicated member of the school board. Thank you for your commitment and your time.
Thank you. Austin?
Yeah, thank you. And let me say again, thank you to the League of Women Voters and Deb for putting on this event this morning, and everyone who sat here for the last hour and a half to listen to us talk about what we want for our schools. Again, my name is Austin Wolfgang. I was born and raised here in the city of Albany. I'm a 2019 Albany High grad. And I'm running for the school board because I want to bring that fresh, recent student perspective to the board. And I think especially as someone just brought up, we're going to be getting a current student member, so I'm going to refer to them current student, joining our board soon. So I'm really looking forward to being able to work with them, as two young people who have been in our Albany schools, and the perspective that we can bring to that. Just a few of the things that we've touched on today, that I want to work on the school board. Obviously, expanding our CTE programs. I love them. We have amazing offerings, and I want to keep expanding those offerings with programs like a partnership with the Albany Police Department. Somebody also mentioned to me recently we should have a CDL CTE program. Those are high demand licenses, so I would love to look into that more. Additionally, looking at how we can incorporate those nonviolent conflict resolution skills into our students' education, and meet them where they are when they're young, so that we're setting them up to be successful in high school and eventually successful in life. And just showing students that, just because Albany has a bad rep, that you can be successful. I'm here running for the school board. I have so many friends who are out there doing amazing things every day. And our students need to know that regardless of what people say, you can be amazing. So thank you guys.
Edith?
Again, thank you for everyone who has made this forum possible. A lot has changed since I served on the school board, but much more has stayed the same. Our schools still struggle for enough money to serve every student well. Many of our students still struggle with conditions that limit their ability to learn and develop to their full potential. As a board member, I will work to direct resources where they are most needed and to craft policies that set high standards for both our students and staff. I envision a school system where students will learn the 6 R's. By the end of 3rd grade, they will be well on their way to mastering reading, writing, and arithmetic. These are the tools they will need to be successful in a literate society. And from the beginning of their time with us, they will see models of the other 3 R's: respect, responsibility, and reverence for all life. At the end of their school career, my hope is that they will embrace these values as the foundation of a civilized society. My expectation is that they will leave Albany High well prepared for their next step in life, whether it be college, vocational education, marriage, employment, an independent adventure, or something none of us can yet envision. My expectation is also that they will leave Albany High well prepared for the lifelong adventure of lifelong learning. I will give my time and energy to make these hopes and expectations a reality. I don't know if my commitment to children and their education is deeper and more passionate than that of my running mates, but I believe that my commitment is longer. I have actively sought the welfare of children in many ways for more than 5 decades. I want and will work to make every child be a blazing star. Please vote on May 20th, and may the best woman win.
Thank you to our 3 candidates, Sridhar Chutor, Edith Leet, and Austin Wolfgang, for participating in today's forum. And thank you to everyone who watched this morning. I hope you found this informative and helpful in making your decision when you go to vote. The school board election is on May 20th, which is next Tuesday. The 2 candidates receiving the most votes will start their 4-year terms on July 1st. You can find out where to vote on the school board website, on the school district website. While it's too late to mail in an application for to vote by mail, if you want to pick up a vote by mail ballot in person at the district headquarters in Academy Park, you must have a completed application for that to the clerk by 4 p.m. the day before the budget vote, which is Monday, May 19th. I assume you hand in an application, they'll hand you back a ballot, and then you can return that all absentee ballots and vote by mail ballots must be received in the clerk's office by 5 p.m. on the day of the vote on Tuesday. You can call the board clerk with any questions at 518-475-6015. Please remember to vote and to remind your friends, family, and neighbors to vote. It's very important. Thank you for viewing this candidate forum. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.